Yeah, go ahead, put him up. That's him. That's a picture of Schuck and Jive Barkley.
If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Charles,
I know, Gail,
Charles,
Gail.
you really can't say that because A, you don't mean that.
Oh, I mean that sincerely.
But if you see somebody, a black person with a Donald Trump,
I'm gonna punch him
you're
right in
gonna
the
punch him in the
eye.
Speaking some discouraging and disparaging things to the black community from Caucasian News Network, adjacent to Gail King. A lot going on over here. He actually threatened members of the black community that he will punch them in their face if he saw one of them wearing a Donald Trump mug t-shirt in support of Donald Trump exercising their political freedom by separating themselves from the Democratic Plantation Party. And he was highly upset about that. And we understand that he has a long history of throwing black people under the bus. That's why his Caucasian white payday masters have positioned him in certain media outlets all throughout the airwaves. We get that. But I think he crossed the line a little bit too much by making this type of threat. I am not going to wear a t-shirt. I'm not going to fight Charles Barkley. I'll have a conversation with you. I'll pour some juice with you because I believe that all that waste around your waist has contributed to a clogged cognition. Your reasoning, your mental activity has been greatly reduced by the high levels of obesity. I've seen your recent pictures. I'm just being real with you. We need to come to this side of the channel and pour some of that juice and get some of that waste off your waist so you can begin to think properly in place. Real talk. So now you want to punch people in their faces for supporting Trump. But you must understand, this type of political propaganda rhetoric is nonsense because the very people who are always talking this anti-Trumpism and always trying to seem as if Trump is the demon of demons are purposely ignoring the primary or one of the primary problems which confronts America right now, from black and white and all shades in between, the illegal immigration invasion. No one wants to say this. Trump was right. No, I'm not voting for Trump, but I hope he wins because he was right on this. The illegal immigration invasion, I'll use his words, you're seeing some bad hombres cross that border. And at the time he spoke, no one would hear about it. But now they're here, and there's a great deal of issues going on throughout societies, resources being used and depleted. They are targeting the black community primarily. And so with all the adversity and atrocities that the black community has suffered within this country, you don't say, yo, black folk get reparations. You don't say black folk get a crime bill. You say if you wear a t-shirt with a mug or Donald Trump's mug on it, you're going to punch them in their face. This is typical of Sir Charles. He's no different than Stephen Aiden Smith on his plantation, Entertainment Sports Plantation Network. No different. He's also throws black people under the bus. This is why their white payday masters hire them and once again position them in platforms throughout the airwaves. I'm mindful of Charles Barkley's dream team run headed by Michael the Magic and Bird. And everything was going so smooth. But to prove my point about his anti-black resentment, do you know when a fight broke up, Charles never thought about attacking a German, never thought about attacking a Frenchman during the Dream Team run, never thought about attacking an Australian, Argentinian, or Brazilian. No, 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 no. You know if a fight's going to break out with Charles, you know who he's going to fight. It's going to be someone darker than him, smaller than him. Yep. And that's the type of anti-black resentment which he has always carried. That's why Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the GOAT, had to come to you, step to you, and say all that niggerdom, we represent, that niggerdom got to stop. We represent basketball at its highest level worldwide. You're not bringing this type of niggardry with this niggerdom with us, Charles. Do you understand? Charles understood. He apologized publicly. He fell in line. He got right back in place. And that's why Michael Jordan denied him championship after championship, because your personal your personal character is greatly lacking, and it's being displayed in real time right now as we speak. Out of all the talking points you could have brought up towards the black community from your platform, you went there. You said if they were a T-shirt, you're gonna punch them right in their face. Nice, very nice, Charles. Very nice, very nice. That's why we went. That's why we invite you to drink some of this juice, and it's not much different than Steve A. Smith in this respect. Follow me. Recently, Pat McAfee, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is he has made a contract with ESPN. He was. It has been reported that he called Stephen Agent Smith a MFer. I have no problem with that. But I know that Stephen Agent Smith, the secret agent man, will not retaliate. He will not speak out against Pat McAfee's harsh words and criticisms of him. Stephen Agent Smith knows the handwriting is on the wall. His days are numbered. He knows that Pat McAfee is in closer proximity to the ESPN owners than he is. And he's angry that he will no longer be the highest paid analyst on ESPN. That's why he began to weasel himself to the YouTube streets. Very simple. But guys like Pat McAfee already had a YouTube following. This is why Shay Sharp is so powerful right now. He's the king of media right now. He's the king of media because he does ESPN on his part-time days, and he does better numbers than ESPN from his own social media platform. It's just that simple. So now you are looking like the odd guy out after all these years of working for who? Your boss, as you said out your own mouth. Back to Sir Charles. Not much different. Not much different. He has a little bit more integrity than Stephen Agent Smith, but yet at the same time, we will still classify Sir Charles as a black, white supremacist. Yes, Sir Charles has proven to be, Schuck and Jive Barkley has proven to be a black, white supremacist. And I want to close on this one last point right here. And I'm gonna make mention as to what Shaq had said on one of the airings of inside the NBA. And Shaq had gave props to Bobo. And I'm not giving props to Shaq. Be clear. I said Shaq gave props to Bobo. I'm not giving all my props to Shaq. Shaq was one of the most dominant players I've ever seen. No doubt about that. But Shaq's political commentary, Shaq's social commentary often is whack, wrong, incorrect. But on this point, it wasn't a social commentary. It was basketball commentary, but it had social implications. When he shouted out Bobo, he didn't say that Bobo was better than Wemby. We don't believe that. Anyone that played basketball, knows basketball, watched basketball, studied basketball, they know Wemby is better than Bobo. But that's not to say that Bobo can't ball.
I want to go at Reggie a little bit. He talks about he's never seen a guy like Wembyana. Yes, you have. His name is Bobo.
You think
Wembyana,
Bobo?
hold on. Let me finish my
Are they
point.
both black or something?
No.
Both black or something?
No.
Bobo doesn't deserve some time. That doesn't say that Bobo can't produce, because basketball players are products of minutes. You can't score or rebound from the bench. You need minutes, and basketball players need consistent minutes to perform consistently because the game is based upon a rhythm. So Shaq brought this to our attention that Bobo, he can ball. And you know who were the first persons to speak out against that? And he even said, who, Bobo Black? That's what Chuck said. Every time Shaq brings up the greatness or potential greatness of Bobo, Schuck Barkley is the first one to discourage that type of conversation. Why is that, Juice Bar? Because Charles is a black white supremacist. The darker the person is, the more resentment he has for that individual. Often, not all the time, but often. And it runs deep with Charles. That's why they drafted him, adopted him to the Caucasian News Network. They wanted some of that political propaganda to go forward as the race approaches for 2024. I don't call it the presidential election race. I call it the race because it's going to bring out all the racist rhetoric, and I can't wait. Let's pour this juice. Charles, come on to the channel. Let's get that waste off your waist. Let's clear your mind so you get back to speaking sound things once again. That's the juice, family. I think we touched on it. We touched on Charles Barkley, secret agent man, Bobo. We touched on Barkley's disparaging comments toward the black community and what they must do. And let me, before I close on this. When you're talking about black on black crime, you're seeing it being played out with Stephen Agent Smith and Charles Barkley because they're quick to throw black people under the bus. This is actually a form of black on black criminality to some degree. But as we use the teachings from the late great Dr. Amos Wilson and a reference point of the Kerner Commission report, we can clearly see that black on black crime is in servitude. It has been designed, implemented, and put in place by what we call, or what the Kerner Commission report calls, white racism. Black on black crime is in servitude to white systemic racism. But that's the problem. That's the thing with black on black crime. Black on black crime is a defense mechanism towards that of white racism. But Charles Barkley and Stephen Agent Smith, they engage in media black on black crime, throwing Kyrie Irving under the bus, all black athletes under the bus. But it plays out in the streets in real time. Somewhere in Philadelphia, there was a teenage shooting. 9 teenage kids were shot. And when I heard about this, I presumed that the assailant or the person who did the shooting probably was black, if the children were black. And this is a problem. This is a problem of black on black crime. Black on black crime is a talking point used by the white right often, by the political right often, the Republicans. But and they use it wrongfully and incorrectly. But it still has some truth in it. And the truth of it is that if white racism has created and implemented, profit, and has designed black on black crime to thrive, then certainly white racism will not solve it. It's going to be the responsibility of the black community to solve that particular problem. So that's how that works out with that. But right back to Sir Charles, showing a long history of being brutal, being verbally abusive, and threatening to the black community. And we've seen enough. We can label him a black white supremacist. We still invite him to this channel because there's some hope in that. We can get some juice inside the system, begin to rid you of those toxins and poisons, and begin to make you think better and more clearly of your people and yourself. That's the juice, family.